Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know to build your first conversational AI voice agent using Retell AI. But more importantly, I'm going to show you when not to use conversational flow. In this video, I'll walk through the building blocks of conversational flow, a real-world use case for a full-fledged business, and as a bonus, a special system I use and I built just for you to dramatically reduce the time it takes to build out these conversational flow agents. It's going to be a great video and I'm super excited about it. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Mark. I specialize in building AI voice agents for businesses internationally, so if you're a business, please feel free to reach out directly to me. I also run one of the fastest growing communities for AI voice enthusiasts and entrepreneurs, so if you're looking to sell AI voice agents or just want to learn about how this world works, please feel free to join. Today's video is super exciting because it's a game changer for people in voice AI automation. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. Alrighty, so now I'm going to show you exactly the agent that we're going to be building in today's video. Follow along with me as I move from node to node following the agent. So here we go, I'm going to hit test.
Welcome to TechShield Solutions. This call is recorded for quality and security purposes. Do you need assistance with IT support or cybersecurity?
I need some IT support.
Of course. Are you having trouble with a computer, software, email, or network?
I'm having some network issues. Like after some time, my network for some reason wasn't working, and so I threw the router out the window because I was upset.
I understand how frustrating network issues can be. Let's work on resolving this together. Since the router is no longer functional, the first step would be to replace it or retrieve it if it's still intact. Once you have a working router, I can guide you through setting it up and troubleshooting the network issue. Let me know how you'd like to proceed.
I need some real help.
Got it. Let's get this sorted out. First, do you currently have access to a replacement router or the one you were using?
No.
Contacting your internet service
You know what?
provider.
This isn't working out. I need to talk to a person.
Understood. We'll need some details before escalating. Can you please provide your company ID and office location? This will help me connect you to the right IT specialist.
Yeah, my company ID is 457 and my office location is 372 room building.
I'm sorry the person you are trying to reach is not available. Please try calling us back in 1 hour. Is there anything else you need assistance with today?
Could you help me with cybersecurity?
Of course. Are you calling about a suspicious login, a security breach, or a phishing email? Let me know so I can assist you further.
No, I just saw like a weird link in my email.
Thanks for letting me know. It's always best to be cautious with suspicious links. Please do not click on it. Instead, forward the email to security@techshield.com so our team can investigate it further. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
You know what? I'm all good, I think.
Great. If you need any further assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a wonderful day and stay safe online.
Okay, so you can see how it confidently moved from node to node even as I talked to it. The only reason it didn't actually talk to an actual human is because we don't have a real number there for an actual department, but each side obviously has its own department, and you'll see how we built that out today. If you've ever played around with AI voice agents, you've probably noticed something. When you ask the same question to the AI, it often responds differently, even though it might mean the same thing in its response. And the reason for this is because AI voice agents are probabilistic, not deterministic. What do I mean? Probabilistic is essentially when you get the same response every time, AI actually is picking the most likely answer based on its context. This is radically different than when you're studying maybe Python, a programming language, and you get x equals b. Every time you hit x, you get b. It's not like that. That's determinism. And you've probably seen this yourself when you're playing with ChatGPT. It's part of what makes it that magical experience. You talk to it and it responds to you like a person. It nuances and it moves, and it's never been given exactly the way that you phrased your question or your prompt, but it's able to respond to you, and that is probabilistic speaking right there. But the deterministic examples are things like your legal, your healthcare, your taxes, maybe things that are really stringent where the requirements of filling out the information step by step, sequentially, perfectly, is highly vital to the success of completing that project. You can think of something like maybe getting a call from an airline and them requiring all of this exact information. Now, our current probabilistic models that we use aren't really the best for this. And I hate to say it because I love probabilistic models. I use them all the time. By probabilistic, I mean the single prompt agents, even kind of those multi-prompt agents that we use. So in order to solve this problem though, Retell AI came out with something really exciting 2 weeks ago, and that is the first way to actually build a deterministic AI voice agent, and that's through conversational flows. Now, Retell AI created the system to be more predictable by forcing a structured decision tree rather than just letting the AI guess its responses. And look, this can be really, really good, but also kind of bad. It all depends on the use case, and that's what I want to talk to you about today before we jump right into this video. I put together some 3 great use cases for this super deterministic AI voice agent that we're going to work on later today. And here are some great ones. Debt collection calls. Debt collection, it has super strict legal requirements, right? And it has to have the right phrasing, it has to ask the right questions, and if it doesn't, then you could get lots of trouble. So maybe a deterministic model in this case is really good. Definitely prescription refill verification, number 2 on our list. Patients need to provide very, very specific details. Anyone who's worked in healthcare is watching my video, you know what it's like. It's crazy the amount of information people need to collect over the phone in some cases. And if one of those pieces of information escaped, is not there, then you're going to run into some serious maybe compliance issues. The third option here is, eviction notices. I thought maybe that's pretty stringent, and rental payment reminders. These are kind of lifeless things, you could say, that they have to be done, boxes have to be checked, and deterministic AI, as we're going to see today, does a pretty good job at this. Now, here are some bad use cases. And I want to cover these because some people will paint this new conversational flow as the answer to all our prayers. It's everything we've ever wanted. It's perfect. It just solves all the problems. And it's absolutely not a one-size-fits-all solution. 3 terrible use cases include, number 1 on my list, counseling or mental health support. This goes without saying. AI voice agents, what makes them so special is that they're human almost. They feel like they're full of life. And they would never feel like they're full of life if they followed the trajectory of typical IVR systems, which go down this path, and if yes, then this and that. And so if someone says something unpredictable, which is very, very likely in a counseling situation or mental health or a suicide hotline, for instance, that we're helping people build right now, as a matter of fact, then it's not going to be able to respond in a way that meets the person where they are, which is going to cause huge problems. So I do not recommend conversational flow for counseling or mental health support. Number 2, sales and cold calling. Now, I have firsthand experience with this with a client we just closed last week. We ended up building the entire system on conversational flow for an outbound sales agent, and it actually didn't perform as well as a single prompt agent. And I was shocked by the results of this because at first I thought, well, how is this possible? I've built all of these 15, 16, 17 objection handling nodes that work perfectly, and yet it didn't work. And the reason for that is because it takes one person to ask one question that is not within that flow that's predefined and set up in the way that you like. And so if you're doing sales or outbound, it needs to be able to pivot quickly or find an objection that may not be in your list, and probabilistic models are the only way to do that. Now, number 3, customer service for complex issues. This is kind of iffy because I could see models where conversational flow works great in this scenario, but I also could see scenarios in which it actually doesn't do the best job, specifically when the person says something that isn't in the conversational flow. It's not predefined. Now, all of this will make sense as soon as we jump into the video, by the way, but that you might have to set it up where it escalates to a human if that exact scenario isn't accounted for. But as a general rule of thumb, I actually, for customer service, in most cases, I think I would use a single prompt over conversational flow. So with that out of the way, there's obviously a lot more to this list that I could add on both edges here, but I wanted to say that just so people have kind of a better understanding of what we're doing. With that, let's dive right into the actual conversational flow, the reason why you came. And none other, let's go right over to Retell, and you're going to see this new option, create an agent. You want to go with conversational flow. Now that beta symbol is important because it means that this system isn't complete. They're actively working on it to make it as best as possible. I've already seen there are a few issues where sometimes it glitches or does things that probably it shouldn't be doing, so just expect in the near future that that'll be cleared up. We'll start from blank. And now this is where things get exciting. It looks already very different than what we're used to. And in today's video, what I want to do is build out an agent that actually is going to route people to different departments in a company. So first, it's going to route people to an IT department. And this is important because it's number one in the first node, it's going to troubleshoot and help the person. And then if it can't help the person, it's going to try and transfer it over to a human representative. And before it transfers it over to a human, it's going to ask pre-qualifying questions. All of this can be taken care of in step-by-step logic that conversational flow offers us. Now, before we dive right in and actually build it out, I want to show you what kind of tools are new here based directly out of their API reference page that I've been reading through. You can see there's add a new node. So these are all nodes. We have 5 different nodes: conversation, function, call transfer, prestige, and ending. Conversation node's the node you're going to be using the most. And what it does, think of it as a miniature system prompt. Now you have the prompt, but you have this new feature, and that's a static sentence. And this is great for disclaimers, for things that we don't need to give it a specific prompt for. For instance, look at this, the welcome node. We have, hello, this is customer support department, how can I help you? The static sentence is going to speak exactly what's in the sentence right there. You have it written out. And what's cool is you have a few different options here which allow us to customize this in a way that we simply couldn't with single prompt. So let's start with a few different options here, and then I'll get into the next node. So for this node, you have skip response. This is a great feature. So essentially, if you don't need anything that you're looking to collect from the person in this node, then you can skip directly into the next node. So once this node is done what it's needed to do, it's said what it's needed to say, it'll go on right over to the next node, and you won't have to define a transition. Here you can also see there's another feature called global node. Now, this is very useful if you want different nodes to be able to jump to this node without a predefined transition. Let me give you an example. Let's say that someone is trying to contact IT support and they're all the way over in the HR department and they're kind of lost over there, and they don't want to have to, the agent doesn't want to have to bring it all the way back into different flows in order to bring it to the IT section. Instead, what you can do is say, if someone wants IT help, bring them to this node. And you can put that right here, and it will automatically define that transition so that you don't have to have another node connecting to that exact global node. That's really going to be helpful. Now, I think this is my favorite feature, block interruptions. Absolutely love this one. The reason for this is quite simple, really. When you're putting out disclaimers at the beginning, such as this call is recorded for quality and security purposes, you don't want anyone to be able to interrupt that, because then you'll have a compliance legality issue. And in previous cases with single prompt agents, they could. So you want to actually put block interruptions where needed. Choose LLM, self-explanatory, different LLMs you could choose from here. Now, I have a friend who actually, for static sentences, he doesn't use GPT-4o just to save very minimal amounts of money. He goes GPT-4o mini for each static sentence, and then obviously for the prompt, he switches it back to GPT-4o. So we'll leave that as so. Now, I would say my next favorite feature is this one here, fine-tuning examples. We'll use this in the example, but what this does really is can help us hone in on what we're looking to extract from the client. So, if a client's bringing up information and it's coming out in a way that is kind of confusing for the agent to understand, and you'll see this after testing it iteratively, you'll find that if you teach the agent, this is what we're looking for, and this is how you respond to what it is we're looking for, the agent's going to perform a lot better. This is what you actually call two-shot or one-shot or multi-shot prompting, where you give the agent multiple examples on what the person is saying, or multiple inputs, for instance, and multiple outputs. And that's obviously going to improve the accuracy and reliability of the agent. And the fact that we can do that for each node is incredible. Now, another thing I'll mention is that Retell said in their API documentation, there's no limit to the amount of nodes you can create. So this can go on for infinity, apparently, which is pretty cool. You also have, moving on to the next node, you have the function node. This is great because as before, we had these functions in single prompt, but now we can actually define precisely where we want them to be in the flow of conversation. And as before, custom functioning is just the same as you've seen in my previous video. If you haven't seen that already, you got to go check that out. It's really great, if I do say so. And then you have the call transfer one. We'll be using that, so I won't get into it right now. That's great to have. Okay, and it's just like in the single prompt. And then the last one is just the end call function that we'll be using at the end of the call. So all of this is pretty self-explanatory. What isn't is self-explanatory is how many pieces of logic to have in each node. Sometimes you can get a little, I got at least confused there. And a general rule of thumb after playing with this for about 2 weeks now is I've found it works best when you limit each node to one piece of logic. So limit each node to one task. What does that mean? So let's say that the agent is doing 2 tasks. It's answering all these questions, so it has 50 questions that it's answering in this node, and then it's also transferring, let's say it's bringing the person over into some pre-qualifying questions as well for a different purpose. So it's answering all these questions and then it's asking all these pre-qualifying questions. You can see there that is 2 separate tasks that are being performed. And in that case, I would break it up into multiple nodes. You might think, well, what do you mean? That's multiple questions. Wouldn't that be multiple tasks? No. At the beginning where it might be saying, hey, these are all the answers to FAQs, that's all one task, answering questions. But if it's now asking pre-qualifying questions, I recommend putting a separate node for that task because it is in fact a separate task. So that's the best success I've had in the past 2 weeks playing with this, and I think that'll be helpful for you as well. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers all of the quick settings here in terms of the nodes. The last thing I'll do is go over and check the global settings. Global settings, pretty much the same as single prompting, except you don't need to be as specific because this agent, you're just defining what is the agent. This agent lives here. Its point is X. Its name is Y. And I'll give you some examples of how that works. But you have, just as before, the different languages. My favorite voices, I like Kate. Kate's pretty good. We'll use her for this demonstration. And then we have, just as before, the knowledge base. I won't get into this because you already know how most of it works, but we'll configure it for what we're doing today. We'll put background, coffee shop, I like that, and I keep it around 85. Responsiveness 1, interruption sensitivity. This varies, obviously. I keep it typically actually a little bit higher. Enable back channeling. This adds to the realism. If you haven't seen this setting before, what it does is it'll say as the person is talking, or yeah, just like a person would over the phone. So it's an extra little feature. Enable speech normalization. Yeah, I don't use this because it adds extra latency, so I'll leave that as is. But when looking back at the transcript, it'll take certain numbers. Instead of writing it like words, it will put it out as those specific numbers, which is kind of nice. I'll do the same for this. Pronunciation, we're going to leave that as blank. End on silence. This is up to your discretion. Do you want the call to end after 10 minutes, hard stop, so someone gets on there and isn't talking to it for an hour, burning up your minutes? It's up to you. Max call duration. Max call duration is that setting. End call and silence is how many minutes will you let the agent just sit there hanging on the hold line or not receiving any information. Okay. Pause before speaking. This is a new feature that isn't in, it is in the single prompt, but it is a new feature, by the way. So you can add this. Typically, if someone is calling with this agent, it's going to need extra time for the dialer to ring or for the person to pick up. So you just want a little buffer time in there. Typically 2 seconds is good, I find. Post-call analysis, same as before. We want to define the exact information we're extracting from this call. Security settings, not going to be using that here. Fallback voice ID. This is always good practice to have. So especially if you're delivering for a client, you want to have a voice that you'll be using that's preferably by a different provider. So if we're using, let's say, OpenAI's voice, then we want to use 11 Labs. If we're using 11 Labs, then we want to use PlayHT. Anyway, you get the point. Webhook settings. This is for data that we're exporting over to make.com, for instance, at the end of the call, or data in here, inbound call webhook URL for retrieving dynamic variables at the outset. So inbound calls, maybe trying to integrate with a certain database that recognizes the person's phone number and then refers to them by name. That's where you do that right here. So you get the point, but let's go right into this because why wait? I'm so excited. So first thing I want to do is I've developed a system, and I want to present this to you, that will make it a lot faster for you when you're building these conversational flow agents. I've had my AI voice prompt builder here for a while. You guys probably have used it. If you're in my community, it's a great resource. You can find it over here. If we go to school, in the community, we go to classroom section, you can go over to the YouTube resources. You can see my personal prompt generator, custom GPT. And this is what I recommend using. I just upgraded it so now, yes, it works with conversational flow agents. You can see that. And what I'm going to do is use this, don't get me wrong, to build the whole agent, no, but I'm going to use this as a scaffolding to build the foundation upon which we will build our agent. So let's go ahead and start that right now. I have an IT company knowledge base that I'm going to be using. It's right here. I'm going to copy and paste it directly into this prompt builder. And honestly, for conversational flow, I found that my little assistant here saves me so much time, because if I were to manually go in and write everything, it would take at least 5 times as long. And so I think you'll find this useful as well and helpful, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is say, let's create a conversational flow agent for this company, and make sure to do it to have separate departments for IT and cybersecurity. Now, what we want here is for the AI to not only give us all of the nodes, which it's been trained to do. I spent about 5 hours setting this up, so hopefully this will help you. It'll give us all the node system prompts, but it will also show us how they connect to one another and the transitions by which we need to use. Now, so if we go over here and we just put in the knowledge base, beautiful. And now let's watch it, and it's going to build this out for us. And as that's cooking, we'll go back over here to Retell, and you can see what this is going to look like. I'll reset our system so it doesn't look like we're tampering with it. We definitely weren't. The last thing I want to cover as that's cooking up is transitions. So transitions are only predefined explanations for when the person is needing to transfer to another node. So, okay, let's say the person provides their order number, okay, right here, like in this example. Then they would transition to a node that follows one person who's provided their order number. Or say, let's say that they've chosen a different hotel reservation than normal. Then you would put that as a defined transition. We're going to be using this a lot as we build out the example, and use that to connect it to a certain node, right, and its corresponding counterpart. Transitions are really nice because you can have lots of them. These agents, single prompts, you can see how quickly it gets complicated, and the big issue with complex agents is this. The more complex the agent, the less likely it is going to be able to reliably call functions. So if you have lots of transitions, building them out in conversational flow is going to be a game changer for you, I guarantee it. All right, so let's go back here and you can see what we've done. Let's see what the AI came up with. All right, so look, we actually, it even gave me a diagram. That's kind of cool. All right, so this may look like a lot. Please don't let it overwhelm you, but you can see it's giving you everything you need. Basically, now all you have to do is drag and drop, copy and paste. And by the end of this, you'll be able to build your own in probably less than 20 minutes, seriously using the system. Okay, so you have the system prompt. And what I'll do here is take this. You are TechShield's AI voice agent designed to handle IT support and cybersecurity, Your role is XYZ. And we'll take this system prompt, and it's going to go, that's going to go right over here in Retell. And we're going to go to this agent settings, global prompt, boom. And then one thing you can do is you can configure the LLM temperature. So I like to keep it at the lowest because it's more precise, but if you want to put a little higher, it just increases the variability, the differences in the responses that you'll get from the agent. Structured output, I leave that as is. And we'll go back here, okay. And now you've got the high level structure, and here's the nodes. So, okay, we've got this set up. IT support node 1, greeting and department selection. AI prompt. This isn't a prompt, it's a static message. So we'll take that right here, and we'll say, okay, put this just like so. Welcome to Tech Shield Solutions. Are you calling about IT support or cybersecurity? And something I like to do, especially if this was for a real enterprise client, you'd want to add something like this. So this is a recorded line, right? Recorded line for quality and training purposes. Okay, just to give that disclaimer. And then we would make this block interruption, so uninterruptible node right there. Now, based off this, cybersecurity, we'd say if the caller needs cybersecurity help, and then you put that here, or just cybersecurity, and then you'd put this one as well. So we're just defining everything as granular as you can be. Needs IT support. Okay. And now this gets kind of satisfying. You'll see by the end of this, user responses next node, IT support node 2A. Now we're just building these nodes out, right? So node 2A, it's IT support FAQ. Here are some common FAQs. And what this node is doing is it's saying, okay, this is the first line of defense, you could say. We're going to put it in here as a prompt, and it's going to guide the user through simple ways to fix their IT problem, whatever that may be. Now, if it's unable to fix that problem, then it will escalate it over to a human. But you can see how this acts as a first line of defense so that a human doesn't have to pick up the phone immediately and go through this entire thing when it really was just for the person to restart their computer and that fixed everything. And even if it ends up being a heavier solution, we have a system by which, and I'll show you right here, that qualifies the person to transfer them over. So the person has to provide two pieces of information. And let me grab that here. So that's node 2. I'll even copy and paste the name. Yeah, I'm not leaving anything out here for you guys. You're seeing everything. And then we'll take this if unresolved next node. So next node escalation. So you need these two things. Verification before escalation, company ID, and office location, as you can see here. So you can see I'm just putting in this node. So we go add new node up here, and I'll put it in as so. Right. Okay. So I'm populating these nodes and then we'll connect them all together, but just so you can see what's going on. Lastly, escalation to a human agent, and that would be a transfer call function. Do you see how I've actually outsourced all of my brains in some sense over to this prompt builder? And now all I'm doing is bringing in its information into here. I would say that 80% of this bot could be built by the prompt builder. Obviously, there's going to be things that it doesn't get right that you're going to have to play with. Another important principle, I need to highlight this. 70% of building an AI voice agent is just testing it. 30% is actually the constructive engineering that we're doing right now. And when you're doing this for your first client, you'll find that to be the case more than you realize. So I'm just putting that out there. All right, so now that we've gotten this set up, what we'll do is connect everything. So if the caller needs cybersecurity, if the caller needs IT support, oops, it's not letting me let go there. That's weird. See how it's glitching out? So I'm gonna have to hit this button. I'm not cutting that out so you guys can see the actual limitations of this, but we'll just keep going. All right, so if it needs IT support, we're going to drag this, grab the right one this time, bring it over, and you can see the questions we're asking. How do I reset my password? Restart device. And now what we want to do here is define the transition. So let me go and set this up. So two things: if the issue persists or if it doesn't persist. So if the issue persists, then we'll transfer it over to a person. And in order for the person to be transferred over to, we need to ask those pre-qualifying questions. All right, so if issue persists. Now, if the issue is fixed, then what we'll do is leave that as is before we define the next node that we'll transfer it over to. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. And, okay, now, here's the next node. This node's asking essentially for the company ID and for its office location. So if the person provides company, let me zoom in here because I know it's a little hard for you guys to see, but if the company provides ID and location, Proceed to next node. Transfer call. If they do not, though, they fail to provide company ID and this location. And then we'll have a separate little block for them. And so you'll see right here what that looks like. I'm going to put it out just like this. Sorry, the thing's lagging a little bit. Okay. So we'll make a new conversation, and I'll put this in as a static message. If they fail to provide their company ID and office location, we'll actually put, I'm sorry you failed to provide your company ID or location. Please reach out to hr@thisemail.com. And that'll be a static message, static sentence rather, and we'll copy it right over there. All right. Now, what we'll do even with this is say skip response. Put that like this. And what this will look like is I'm going to build the entire IT side out, and then I'll build the cybersecurity part. And obviously you can build this infinitely, as many departments as you need, right? But I'm only going to do 2 for the sake of brevity in this video. And we'll add in this last one right here. That'll say, okay, is there anything else you need help with today? So here we go. Static sentence. And now this will be the last thing that is said to the person before the end call node. So we'll hit the end call node. You can see this right there. And now they're connected. So if, and we'll do 2 transitions. If they require no further assistance, then, okay, go right there. And then, but if they do require further assistance, we're actually going to loop it all the way back. So if they require further assistance, we're going to loop it back right over here. So I'm going to grab this one, go right back to the beginning, put it right there. Okay, so now you can see how that works. It's kind of a beautifully symmetric, uniform thing that we've built, and that'll be good. Okay. Now this is looking pretty good. You can see now all that's left for us to do is set up this transition and this transfer call function. And in order for us to set this up, each department's going to have their own number. So in this case, we just be doing a cold transfer. Cold transfer is a lot more reliable right now at the moment using Retell than warm transfer, but I believe they're working on that issue. And so you can set this up by going, you could do this 2 ways, right? I mean, you could set up dynamic routing. So that could be taking stuff from a dynamic variable from a Google Sheet and putting it right in here, which is pretty nice. Or you can just put in a static number, which it's not letting me do right now. That's kind of weird. But you can see the point. So I would set this up, transfer call IT department. And then you'd set up a fallback node in just in case the transfer failed. Maybe the person's busy. You're going to want to have a separate node right here that just goes, okay, here we go. The person you're trying to request is not available. So you can see if we go back to our little thing here, transfers to a live IT support agent. Thank you, I'm transferring you to an IT specialist now. So we'd copy and paste that in, but let's also put in this right here. So I'm sorry the person you trying to reach is not available at the moment. Please try again in 1 hour. Okay. And now it's pretty cool because we'll make it just a simple skip transition. Remember, skip response only means that we're not waiting on the person to give us some information while this conversation's happening. We're just saying, this is the case, deal with it, basically. Go right over, and we'll loop that right in over here. So if the transfer does fail, we'll connect this over here, just like so. Okay. So now you're kind of seeing how this is coming together, hopefully. There's a few things that I need to mention. First of all, if we're doing a transfer like this, you want to say something professional. ChatGPT got it right. Thank you, I'm transferring you to an IT specialist now. This is after they provide all the information. So that would look something like this. Okay, so transferring you to a live agent. We just paste that in there. Thank you. Beautiful. The last thing we do is, if the issue is fixed, we take this right here and say, do you see this one? If issue is fixed. And we're going to move that all the way up until the end, because if they're able to fix the issue with a simple, hey, how do I reset my password? And the AI agent goes, oh, I can send you a password reset link. Would you like that? Yes. Okay, boom. Issue's fixed. So we take this, bring it right over here. Is there anything else you need assistance with today? Okay. So this is a real world example that you can see. And routing different departments is a gigantic enterprise need that I think would be incredibly useful. So understanding this, having it in your back pocket, being ready to pull it out at any moment, especially when you're doing these sales calls with people, is great to have. So next thing you want to do is, if the caller needs cybersecurity, let's build it out as well. We'll go back over to what chat was so kind to give us. Cybersecurity FAQs. So this is the node 2B, and I'm going to take that and I'm actually going to copy and paste it like I did before. Put it in the name there, just for bookkeeping. And we'll take all this information right here, purpose, and put that prompt in there. I can show you a little briefly what this prompt is. Purpose, identify cybersecurity concerns. So goes through, how do I report a phishing email? Okay, these are common questions that this company gets. And locking on compromised accounts. How do I do two-factor authentication? Okay, those kinds of questions. Now, if it's not one of those questions, again, we're going to have to transfer it over. But in this case, we're doing something a little bit different. We're also going to allow the person to submit a support ticket rather than also calling, escalating it to a real person. So we'll do transition and we'll define this. Okay, if unresolved, that's the blue. Blue is the transition. If unresolved, it's a little small, then transition to the next node. So we'll put conversation, move this out of the way. By the way, if you're wondering what this thing does here, it'll auto organize all the nodes, which makes it kind of nice. It's helpful for you. And then we'll take this node 3B, verification before escalation. All right. What I'm excited about in the near future is actually having AI agents build these systems out for us, because you can see right now, while I am making some small tweaks here and there, most of this is being generated by the AI. I'm just the hands and feet of it at this moment. And what I'm excited about is we've already seen this technology like Operator coming out, and it's able to control your computer remotely. And I believe that's going to be probably in the next years from now, the going forward way of approaching tasks like this, where an AI is doing most of the work, but it just needs to be the one controlling the computer. And then you'd simply say, make this AI agent. Even if it's a conversational flow one, it would be able to generate and do it all for you. So that'll be in the coming years, but right now people need this, and this is good work. So we have this, and obviously I want to say you're not just taking everything from the agent, you are going through it, reading it. For the sake of this video, I'm going kind of fast, but you are reading it, you're changing it, you're modifying it, you're ensuring that it is providing lots of value to the person, because it has to work and has to work well. I can create a support ticket for you. So, okay, here's the options. Transfer to a live cybersecurity agent or submit a support ticket. Obviously, what do? Put this into the transitions. If you weren't screaming that across the screen, then you obviously aren't paying attention to my video. Submit a support. If the person wants to, let's say, if the caller, wants to ticket. Now, this will bring us over to the separate logic for submitting support tickets, right? And we can also do the separate logic here. Okay. Now, I want to point out something. As you can see, my prompt builder is good, but it's not perfect. It forgot to add this separate logic for submitting a support ticket. So that's something separate that you need to add, but you can just put that right in here, conversational flow. So submitting a support ticket is as simple as, hey, I need to collect information in order, and so you'd write this out here, right? In order to submit the support ticket. So you need to collect two things: the caller's name and email. Now, Retell actually provides a template for anytime you're collecting email information, because as you guys know, if you've played around with AI, email verification can be kind of tricky, and I've had lots of trouble with it in the past. So let me go ahead and put this prompt in here. Transfer to a live cybersecurity agent. Hang on, please hold while I connect you to a specialist. Okay, that's already there, all set. But for the support ticket, connect this to here. And you'd say, let's take this from, I'm taking this actually from Retell's API reference, if you want to check that out for yourself. And I'll put, here's how you collect the information, especially email. The possible email format is name@company.com, and you need to spell it out as so and repeat it back until confirmed by the caller. Now, once confirmed, continue, right? So if the email is confirmed, then we'll just continue this call. Okay, confirmed, and beautiful. We'll go over here, and obviously, where do you think? Take a guess. Where do you think I'm going to go? Did you guess conversation? Is there anything else you can need to assistance with today? You got it. Beautiful. All right. So, I mean, that's the next logical step, right? Now that we've submitted their support ticket, they should be happy. If there's something else they need to take care of, then they'll go ahead and have this prompt address it. But the whole point is it's a continuous loop until all the problems are addressed, and then they'll end the call. And then we'll go back here if the person wants to transition to a live caller. If they want a live caller, and we'll do, let's be more specific, want to transfer to a live caller. You want to be as specific as possible. And then we'll add a separate node right here just to handle that call transfer as we did before. And we'll say transfer call right here. Okay. And then you set that number, again, specific to the department. Okay, perfect. We'll set this up right here. Okay. Good. Something else I want it to do is give me a common list. Give me a common list of FAQs based off of the knowledge base, which can be a global node. ChatGPT, this model knows what a global node is. That apply. Okay, because I've trained it on it. So there we go. Okay. Now, in certain cases, what you'll need, especially for this agent to work, you'll need global nodes that are, as I said before, they're able to be connected to from any node as long as they meet the connection criteria. And if you're looking at this thinking to yourself, this looks like a complete mess, Mark, watch this. Magic button, boom, everything's organized. Something I want to talk about now is testing agents. As I said before, testing takes a lot more time than actually building the agent. So right after I put this in here, I'm going to take this little knowledge base node, it's a global node, and I'm going to put it right over here. It's going to be right here. And then we'll review our logic and begin to test the agent so you can see what that process looks like and how specific you can get. So we'll put in this global node. Okay. This is going to be if the person needs further help with tech support. So this could be even if they're in cybersecurity, in the cybersecurity section, and they need some more help with the tech support, then they could go back over to this global node without going through the cybersecurity going to the IT section and then coming back. Something that you'll realize when you're testing these agents is they're restricted to each node, so sometimes they'll get stuck in a node if you don't clearly define ways of escape, per se, through the transitions. So that's really important. Okay. Now that we've put that all out here, Let's make sure everything lines up. So we'll go through it, just start through finish. We can go here. See, this one isn't connected yet, so let's add that. If the caller needs cybersecurity, let's put this right here. So we'll drag and drop it, connect it to the cybersecurity one. And that should be about it. If I'm looking, skip response, this one should come over here. And you can see how they're all coming together now at this point. Now, if we begin it, we'll just walk through it real fast and then we'll begin to test it. So, and I'll show you a very unique way that you can test these agents. AI remains silent until user initiates the conversation. Normally, I like to set this up that the AI speaks first if it's inbound. If it's outbound, then you want it so that the AI remains silent until the user initiates, because it obviously makes sense when you're calling someone, they go, hello, right? Okay, so we'll set AI speaks first, pause before speaking. I'll keep this short, about 1 second. And then it'll move bing, bang, boom. So welcome to Tech Solutions. This is recorded line for quality training purposes. And so what we can do is, to make this faster, we'll begin to test it, not using voice, but just through the LLM. So we'll say, hello, welcome. And this is a really cool feature. Bing, the team over at Retell, is fantastic for doing this, making it so it lights up each node when you're transitioning to it. I love that feature. So we say, okay, I need IT support, and watch, it's going to transition to each node based on node transition. And if we go up, there it is, highlighted in blue. Got it. Are you having trouble with your computer? Computer is on fire, dude. Sounds like critical safety. Please immediately evacuate the area. Okay. Once you're safe, let us know if you need assistance with IT recovery. Your safety is our top priority. Okay. I'm safe now. And you can see it transferred. I'm safe now. And now it's bringing us over to a transfer call function. It actually wasn't supposed to do that, see? And this is what happens with testing. It was supposed to, in this moment, actually ask me some questions before transferring me over. So this can be fixed with prompting, as I'll say, and giving more fine-tuning examples. So if I go in here and say, look, do not transfer, yep, unless they provide their company ID and location. So I'm kind of throwing out a wildcard example there to show you what could go wrong. But if I went through it, more likely how it was going to be used, not with a random fire example, it's more likely to work. So, and this goes along with what I was saying earlier about deterministic and probabilistic models. So let's start it again. Welcome node, hello. And now we're testing it. Okay, IT, support. And you can see now it's moving, went up to this one, and we'll just follow it as it goes. Let's say email or network. Okay. And now understood. Let's troubleshoot it. Still not working. And now it's going to move on to the next node. There we go. So now it's saying, okay, can you please provide your company ID and office location? So now it's going about it in the right way. Company ID is Tom, office. Okay. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. Internal server error. That was weird. Never had that happen before. Okay. Okay. Company ID and office location. Okay, for some reasons I was having trouble transferring over. No, weird, but you're seeing this, how it works. I've made this very quickly without testing it enough for an actual demonstration right now, but you can see what I'm doing. Now, we can go ahead and try the cybersecurity side, see how it handles. But something I want to show you is, in certain cases, we can even make this a lot more, accurate by giving it the fine-tuning examples. So let's say for this fine-tuning conversation, I want, let's say the person says only IT. IT support is very important. I can help you with that, right? So there's two kinds of fine-tuning examples. the user puts in information in this first case, and then we define how the agent responds. Or there's the second, which is fine-tune the transition. So we can hit save to that. But if we want to fine-tune the transition, what this does is now we define specifically how the person gives information and then how the agent's going to react to that information. Is it going to transfer to this node based on that? So if we say, again, Stan, you need IT help. Okay. And then you'd select the node. So which node is it going to transition to? And we're going to go to IT support. So that just gives you that extra level of precision again. And you can add as many as you want. So function execution even. This is pretty cool. You can add more fine tuning here if you want, but I'm not going to do that right now. Okay. So you get the point there though that I'm showing you. And if I want to go back and test this, let's try the cybersecurity side. So we'll delete this. Sometimes the testing with the playground isn't perfect, but it does a pretty good job. But it is a lot faster, I will say, than using test audio, and it does save you some money. So cybersecurity. Are you calling about a suspicious login, security breach? Okay. I understand. And now you can see it's moving right over. Do you want to, before I escalate this, could you provide your company ID for verification? Yeah, so for security breach, it's going to escalate. Company ID. Company ID. What did we put before? I forgot. Okay. All right. To proceed with creating, could you please provide your name and email address? Boom. Okay. And we'll say no. And now it'll end the call. Boom. So it moved us right through this, as you can see. Now that's one way you can go about testing your agent when you're building these. But the other way, and obviously this takes a lot more time. That's why if you're building, again, a conversational flow agent, you've got to have a good reason to do so. You really need to desperately need that determinism over the probabilism. All right. So in specific use cases, what you can do is go over here and actually test each node to see how it's performing. And this is so useful. If I want to go in and figure out what exactly is wrong here, why is the prompt not working, I can go choose the node. So look at that, it's moving around. Let's go check out before escalation. It's back, node 3. Let's go FAQ and issue handling. Help. Could you provide your company ID to assist you further? And then you can isolate the problem, fix it from there if you're having some prompting issues, because you're just testing one at a time. That's something you can never do with single prompt agents, just testing one functionality at a time. And that's really powerful here. And I think that reason in and of itself is enough to learn conversational flow agents just for troubleshooting. All right. But before we jump in, I'm going to be showing you a brief demo of what we're building today. Take a listen.
Welcome to TechShield Solutions. This call is recorded for quality and security purposes. Do you need assistance with IT support or cybersecurity?
You know, I really need some IT support right now.
Of course, I'm here to help. Are you having trouble with a computer, software, email, or network?
I'm having some network issues.
Got it, network issues. Let's work on resolving that. Can you tell me a bit more about the problem? For example, are you unable to connect to the internet? Experiencing slow speeds?
My internet's like really slow, dude.
Understood. Slow internet can be frustrating. Let's get this sorted out. First, I'll need to gather some details before escalating this issue. Can you please provide your company ID and office location?
Yeah, my company ID is 457862473, and my office location is 973 Valley Way.
I'm sorry the person you are trying to reach is not available. Please try calling us back in 1 hour. Is there anything else you need assistance with today?
I'm good. Actually, I was wondering, I needed some cybersecurity help as well.
Welcome to TechShield Solutions. This call is recorded for quality and security purposes. Do you need assistance with IT support or cybersecurity?
Oh my goodness. Alrighty, and that is about it in building this agent. The last thing I'll do, just to make this a little bit even better, is add a global node to both the cybersecurity and the IT, because you don't want it, if it does go all the way back to the beginning, it does sound a little bit weird. So if there's someone halfway through the prompt and they need some cybersecurity help and they're in the IT, then it will bring them over to cyber. So I would just do that by going here, if the person needs cybersecurity help, right? And then I would do the same here for IT and just say, hey, if the person needs IT help, make it a global node. Boom, IT help. So that's what I would do. Alright, in this video we learned both when and how to use conversational flow agents, and if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to smash that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. And also, if you're interested in learning how to sell and deliver these agents to real clients and businesses, I highly recommend you join my community below. You'll love it. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have an incredible rest of your day.
Tectonic, where AI finds its voice. Come for the tech, stay for the transformation.